The Google Earth measurement is a map measurement, so we must take into account topographic elevation. Example, if I take a 1-meter ruler and I go up a mountain, I bring the ruler closer to the satellite, so it sees it bigger and bigger, except the Google Earth measurement does not move but the ruler magnifies. This effect is called scale distortion due to terrain height. Google Earth uses sophisticated algorithms to minimize this distortion and provide an accurate representation of the terrain. However, it is important to take this limitation into account when measuring distances or areas on a map.
Central America. Topographic elevation, 2,250 meters. 3 pyramids. One that measures 100 meters sideways. One with a hypotenuse of 314 meters. Egypt. Topographic elevation, 30 to 40 meters. 3 pyramid. One that measures 100 meters sideways. One with a hypotenuse of 314 meters. Asia, Central. Topographic elevation, 500 meters. 3 pyramid. One that measures 100 meters sideways. One with a hypotenuse of 314 meters.
The information we have just seen gives us 3 clues. Visibly, these squares were made by the same civilization, which is global. Which civilization on our Earth was global? Answer: to another civilization before us and for only 500 years. This is a fact, so the first clue accuses our civilization. Second clue, everything is expressed in meters. Which civilization in our known history used the meter? Answer: we created the meter 200 years ago and no other civilization had a unit of measurement which without comparison. Third clue. The pyramids are adjusted according to the height of the satellite so that they all fit perfectly on Google Earth. Third clue. Who placed these satellites and who made Google Earth?
3 clue, which you will certainly not accept. But do them, and I will follow the trail of science and common sense, rather than that of beliefs. Google Earth has been around for around 20 years. The meter has been around for around 200 years. These giant squares have been there for over 5,000 years. Which brings us to the question: if we did this, then when? The only logical and possible answer, at this point in time, is that it can be built or modified by us in the future.
If this is true, it means that the plans have not yet been created. And whoever decides to do them well by default will be the first. For it to be remembered by people of the future, it must have deep meaning in mathematics. If you find something better, it will be instantly replaced and readable in your unit of measurement. I use the unit of measurement given by Google Earth, that is to say, taking into account the topographic elevation in the equation.
Let's try to carry out the experiment to see if it works, to see if we can modify the mathematical data of these things by making them better. First experience. This is a calculation that I personally discovered. I title, The Creation Code. It is 99% correct, but the error is not visible unless you zoom in. Of course, the number pi and the golden ratio have their own decimal infinity. No need to be 100% perfect. They just need to find one or more connections between one or more constants. Let's go see the experiment which, I repeat, consists of creating the original and primary plan of the pyramids. Understand that thousands of researchers have studied, analyzed, measured these things for thousands of years. And no one has ever seen this equation. The code, which in my opinion is better as a basis for the pyramids than the one known at the moment. Let's see if the experiment is conclusive. The code that I discovered, is readable with the GU measurement in all the bases and tops of all the pyramids in China. In fact, these are facts that everyone can see for themselves. A fact calculable in probability therefore gives us a measure of certainty on the veracity of the results of the experiment. At this point, the probability that I was wrong about my theory is 0. So if these are true, it means that it works. So let's continue. All I show you from the beginning is the code. Even today, no one has ever understood this calculation, yet now it is in all the pyramids around the world. How is it possible that no one saw this? Experience number 1, successful. So if it's true, that means a lot. First, that we can exchange mathematical data with the future in a loop until it is perfect and reveals things to us that are still unknown. Which leads to experiment number 2. I titled this plan, Let There Be Light. Each measurement is the number pi, except the one on the left, which is 16.1, and the one on the right, which is 41.4, which represents the hypotenuse. For example, a square of 100 by 100 gives a hypotenuse of 141.4. If the hypotenuse of the green square is 314, it's a strange coincidence. When understood, this plan is of incomprehensible depth, therefore deserves pride of place. The Pyramid of the Sun. Each one of the measurements is identical to that of my plan, 100%. The sum of this addition gives the speed of light, hence the title of the plan, Let There Be Light. Or if you prefer, the Pyramid of the Sun. Here's another shot, each side does the speed of light. This plan is not as precise as the previous one, but excuse the term, a print god, addition of constant equal to a constant. Even though it is not very precise, it was accepted. Bent pyramid. It is not as precise as the previous one, but the totality of the sum means that it is a constant plus a constant equals one or more constants, then it is accepted. Therefore, the experiment works.
Whatever can be promised by the law of infinity, it will come true.
Giza Plateau, Egypt. Speed of light in glass, 200,000 kilometers per second. The light in the glass, across this distance, 1 million times per second. Speed of light in water, 225,000 kilometers per second. The north and south sides of Cheops measure 225 meters. The light in the water, across this distance, 1 million times per second. Speed of light in the area, 299,000 kilometers per second.
The hypotenuse of Kephrine is 299 meters. The light travels this distance 1 million times per second. A plan I made. Here we see a connection between three constants. The number pi month, the golden number, equals the speed of light divided in 2.
This plan I made in 2023. Every measurement is identical to my plan. Each measurement of this addition is the number pi and the speed of light, and the sum is 1092 meters. It's the circumference of the moon.
Then this means that the number pi plus the speed of light equals the circumference of the moon.
False also take into account in the equation that the three squares at the base represent the speed of light in glass, water, and air. If we add 100 meters diagonally to this sum, we obtain the difference between the Earth and the Moon.
Therefore, the sum of this equation is a major clue, which suggests, in a scientifically measurable way, that the formation of the moon would have been decided artificially.
Let's not go too fast, there are still several things to understand before tackling this level.
This equation, which purely adds the number pi and 99 to give the golden ratio, is very surprising. Because it is a connection between 99 and the golden number, like the calculation already known, phi squared to the power of n.
We come to wonder if we learned about this pyramid or if it really was me who created it. But the proof is that the world has already measured it and no one has found one of the measures to show. By that of the moon and the earth. That I learned from the video The Cosmic Revelation of the Pyramids, released in 2013. At one point in the film it shows that the Plateau of Giza is divided into several golden rectangles, which at that time led me to question myself. And later in the video it shows the difference between the Earth and the Moon in the three pyramids. But seems not to have made the connection that the golden rectangle made an equation which creates this result. By making this connection I understood that the golden shadow equals the Earth and the Moon. These are what triggered everything. Of course the history of golden rectangles are, in my opinion, like phi to the power of 4, not very interesting. Because we have to make several equations or additions which are not constants, so nothing to do with the calculations that I have just shown you, and even less what follows. For it to work you can't just rely on numbers written in the books, you must be able to check for yourself, otherwise how can you receive the message? This will be a one-way communication, you was only do it once. This is the reason why no one could see everything I showed you from the beginning. But now you can see it, because I create, publish, and accept them in the future. Time you create connection between constant, it will be accepted. Here the contour is 2,243 meters, this number represents the topographic elevation at Teotihuacan, the speed of light in water across this distance 100,000 times per second, and of course, these are the creation code. The total surface area is 314,000 square meters, the number pi. Here the contour is 1,123 meters, this number represents the Fibonacci sequence. The total area is 78 square meters thousand, the start of the code. Example: a square of 79 by 79, equal to a hypotenuse of 112. The outline is from 1617 meters. The total surface area is 161,900 square meters. The golden number is 1618. The contour is 3,149 meters. The total surface area is 618,000 square meters. Pi equals the golden ratio. I can do the same thing on all sites. I challenge you to name me any site and I will do the same thing. Let me show you again. Teotihuacan, Mexico. Let's analyze this corner of the site. To create a golden rectangle, we must measure the side of a square and multiply it by 1.618 to add 61% to one side. This is a perfect golden rectangle in proportion. And it doesn't matter which unit of measurement you use, this proportion is universal. To check if these are a golden rectangle, we measure the smallest side, we multiply it by 1.618, and the result will give the length of the largest side. It is a golden rectangle.
The addition that we have just seen is really the number pi multiplied by the proportion of the golden ratio equal to 50?
Actually, it is a connection between the number pi, the golden ratio, and the number 100 divided in 2. This side has a measurement very close to the golden ratio. And unsurprisingly, it is indeed a golden rectangle.
Then it means that the golden ratio multiplied by the golden ratio equals 100?
99 is already linked to the gold number by phi squared to the power of n, but this calculation is in every way superior and no one had ever discovered it before. I can go on forever and this is what I'm going to do. But if at this point you still do not believe, that means that you choose to ignore the probability given by visible facts, measurable by everyone.